I'm Julie from This Beautiful Farm Life, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make bone broth in your Instant Pot. I got my Instant Pot last fall. It's a really big one because we have a big family. It's an 8-quart Instant Pot, and I will link that so you can see where to get that. And it makes enough bone broth for us to last a couple days or 3 days at our house. With all 8 of us here, by the time we make soup and drink a little bit of it, doesn't last too long. So there's a lot of really good health benefits to making bone broth. The first one is that it boosts your immunity and your sleep patterns. So there's a lot of amino acids in bone broth that contribute to good sleep and immune boosting against viruses and things that we get all winter long that we don't want. So that's another good reason to always have soup going in the winter and bone broth. It also strengthens your bones, your teeth, your joints. So you have good movement throughout your life until you're old. And it's full of calcium and protein, magnesium, phosphorus, zinc, potassium, magnesium, all those trace minerals and all those things that we need to build good teeth and bones and be strong. And it also is really healing to the gut. There's a lot of gelatin in bones when you cook them up, and that gelatin is really healing to the stomach lining, and people who are having even just heartburn or any of those kind of things, but leaky gut syndrome especially, a little bone broth every day is really good for healing that. And so this is worth doing. It's not hard, and I'm going to show you how to do it really quickly in the Instant Pot. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is get some bones. Now you can use chicken bones or beef bones, it doesn't really matter, turkey bones. So I always save the carcass from any chicken or any turkey that I cook, and we do a lot of whole chickens and whole turkeys just because that's the way we eat as a family. We eat a lot of them. And of course you can save bones from your roast and your steaks, things like that, even after you've eaten them. Just save the bones, gather them up off the table. They're not going to hurt anybody, and you can recook those. We keep half a beef every year, so we can request the bones at the butcher that he can save all of them for us. But just a while back, I didn't have any bones, and so I just went to our local butcher where we have all of our meat cut, and he has good beef that are brought in there off the farms around here. And most people don't want the bones, and so he just handed me a big box of bones for free. And my husband took them out and cut them into pieces small enough to be used because some of them were quite long. But this is what I'm going to put in my pot today. So I just took these out of the oven. I just broiled them for just a few minutes just to brown them and kind of give them a roasted flavor. It makes the flavor a little better for the bone broth, especially if you're just going to drink it, which we do a lot of. So I'm just going to fill my pot. And I usually fill my pot about halfway. I want to have room for plenty of water to go over my bones so that I can get plenty of broth out of this. I usually get about 3/4 of a gallon of broth at a time out of this big 8-quart pot. So that's pretty substantial, but we can use a half gallon easily in a soup for our family. So it doesn't go as far as you might think, but it does make quite a bit. So you can add vegetables to your broth. It is more tasty that way if you're going to be drinking it every day, which I highly recommend. But I don't always. It just depends on how the timing is. If it's after supper and we're in a quick cleanup and I just have the bones, I just throw them in the pot and start them right there while we're cleaning up dinner. And I don't always have vegetables handy, or my fridge is a little bit empty. But I do when anytime I am peeling carrots or slicing vegetables, if I have good ends of things that are not rotten or not dirty looking, I can save those ends in a baggie and put them in the fridge. And then when I'm ready to make bone broth, I just dump those in to the pot and add that for flavoring. Today I didn't have any of those things, so I just chopped up a couple carrots and an onion and some celery that actually was going bad in my fridge, and so I didn't want to lose it, so I chopped it up to just put in here. And I don't really chop them very small because they're just going to cook down really far and be really tender anyway. So we just want them in there for flavoring. I also add a kind of a good glug of a really good apple cider vinegar. And I use the Bragg's vinegar because it's really well made and I trust it. And then I just add some salt and pepper just to give it flavor. Now when we get it all done with this soup, we're not going to be eating these vegetables. They're in there just to go into the broth. We're actually going to strain everything out and just eat the broth. So it really doesn't matter if everything is really top quality, and sometimes I don't get all the papers off the onions. Like this one, you can see it still has, but it doesn't really matter because it's just going to cook up and then we're going to strain it out when we're done. So now all we have to do is add some water and we can get going. So you just want to fill your pot about 2/3 full of liquid, or any of all the ingredients total. 2/3 is about all that it can tolerate because it's going to have some pressure in there, and you've got to have some room for those, for that pressure to build and not be overflowing in your pot. So we've got our salt and pepper, our vinegar, our vegetables, and our meat in, and our water, and that's all there is to it. So now we're just going to lock our lid on. We're going to put it to pressure back here so that we can build the pressure in the pot. So we don't want it on venting, we want it on the pressure side. And then I have mine preset. My soup beef button is preset to go to 2 hours and 30 minutes. That's how long I like to do this, and it's on a low pressure. So I just do that and turn it on, and you heard it beep, that means it's starting up. And I have it on, the keep warm button is always on. So if this will build steam now, pressure, and it will cook. It'll beep when it starts to cook. Actually, it's gonna have to build for a few minutes. And then when it's got enough steam and enough pressure in there, it will beep and it will start timing. And it will run for 2 hours and 30 minutes. And then it will beep when it's off, and it will automatically go to keep warm, and it will let the pressure come down. So when the pressure is up on this Instant Pot, this little red button will actually pop up and show that it's building steam, and then when it releases that pressure, it will come down. And I usually leave it then on warm for, like right now it's afternoon, so this will be done in a couple hours, and I'll just leave it on warm all night, and in the morning I will actually strain it out and put it in jars. Here's a jar of chicken bone broth that I made the other day that we haven't finished. We did about I had a half-gallon jar and this quart jar full when I was done. I just took this out of the fridge a few minutes ago, so it's starting to soften already, but you can see it's still pretty gelatinous. When I got it out yesterday to heat it up to drink, it was so thick that I had to spoon it out. Now it's been sitting out for a few minutes, so it's getting more liquid. But this is one that I did without any seasonings, and so I just, when I'm ready to cook it, I just add a little onion powder or salt and pepper when I want to drink it in a cup, and it's good to go. So if you don't always have the vegetables, it's okay, because without vegetables it still turns out well. So another really great side benefit to cooking down your own beef bones from the butcher is that there is a lot of fat on them as well as bones. So I made, about a week ago, I made a big pot of beef bone broth just like this, and I saved the fat off the top. I just scooped it off with a spoon into my bowl, and I put it in the fridge, and I saved it for this day because I wanted to show you. This is the fat, and then this is a little bit of soup particles that were in the fat when I strained it off with my spoon, and they settled to the bottom. So this is beef tallow. Now I can take my spatula now and peel this out of here and scrape off this little bit of soup. When I'm done, I will have really great tallow for cooking. It probably isn't pure enough or clean enough to make soap or anything like that, lotions, salves, but it's excellent for cooking, and it cooks at a really high heat, has a really high smoke point, and it's very healthy for you. You can use it right on your stove, especially with your cast iron, and season your savory foods that you're going to cook up. So I'm going to take this out and I'll show you what it looks like. So there you have it, just a little cake of tallow. I know you can cut this into pieces if you're not going to use it very quickly, and keep it in your fridge or in your freezer if you're not going to use it up in the next week or two. But we keep ours in the fridge and then just pull it out when we need it, and there it is. Thanks for joining me today in the farmhouse. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on making bone broth and beef tallow in your Instant Pot, and I hope that you've also learned a little bit about the benefits of bone broth in your diet on a daily basis, and that you'll enjoy a cup every day like I do, and that you'll come back again and join me here at the farmhouse for fresh, nourishing food, wholesome living, and simple farmhouse beauty.